Salamat siang, welcome back to the channel and season number 5 of the FC Bekasi CIty save. If you've been with me for the journey so far, you would have seen in the previous episode that we went out and signed some experienced players that would really help us to have a push in the Champions League. It actually worked. We would get all the way through to the final, but sadly we would lose to Al Ittihad on aggregate, losing both legs of that tie. Still though, it was a successful season as we would go and win the Indonesian Cup once again. We would also win Liga 1 for the third time. And as we now push into season number 5, the Champions League is the one that we all have our eyes on. Let's kick things off by going right back to the beginning of season number 5. The date is the 1st of June 2028 and we have not long been crowned Indonesian champions for the third time, and we are now preparing for the 5th season. Let's kick things off by looking at the club info page as always. So we are now a 2-star national reputation team with 4-star secure finances. We have 2.5-star training facilities, 2.5-star youth facilities. We have half-star for both junior coaching and youth recruitment. As always, our key players, Chiro Konagaya is still my club captain. Mr. Reliable got his hands on both the Liga 1 trophy and the Indonesian Cup last season. Hopefully, we're going to give him some more trophies to lift this season. Our key player remains Owen Silva. The young American winger is quick, he's dynamic, and he's developing into a player that is doing us proud. Just hope we can keep him for the final season, and our chairman doesn't get tempted to start doing what he did with Sean Wagner a couple of years ago and flog him before we have our use out of him. Our hot prospect for this season is Heru Mardian Soya. He's a player who has not long come through our youth ranks and one that we're going to look to develop already in our first team. We're going to push him straight in there and see what he has. Looking forward into the season then, in terms of the finances, we now have £4.6 million in the bank thanks to our Champions League exploits. Unfortunately didn't win the competition but did get to the final, so a nice new injection of cash there. We have a transfer budget of £230,000, 34,000 in terms of the wage budget, but we are spending 17,000. So we have a good budget to go and strengthen the squad. The question is, how many transfers do we actually need? And the answer to that question is actually 5. We would go out and actually spend quite a lot of our budget. Now, I felt it was worth it considering we are pushing for the Champions League this season, having got to the final previously. We need those players that are going to get us over the line, but also we need to mix youth and experience. So the players that we have signed for this season, the first player is Kurniawan Lutfi. He's a player that was at Arema previously. He has left them now to come to us on a free transfer, and I think we have got ourselves an absolute steal. Ivan Ridwan is next. He's the player that we spent most of the money on. He's a player that came through at Persipura, went to Persebaya, and he's a defender that looks like he's ready built to be a star in this league. 19 years old, already capped by Indonesia. Fingers crossed he goes on to perform fantastically during the season for us. The next player was Heri Ramdhani, another player that was bought through at PSPS, left them and has come to us on a free transfer. The crazy thing to notice here, he has 20 for finishing. Now the rest of the attributes aren't all fantastic, but 20 for finishing and 16 for first touch means that he will probably get chances. He's going to start the season in the under-21s, but we need to throw him in to see what he's capable of at some point along the way. The next player to come in was Sani Rizki. This is another one that I was saying we need to balance that experience and youth, and having signed quite a few new gen players, we also need those older heads on the shoulders. So he's a central midfielder that is a current Indonesian international, and I think he's one that will really fit in and slot in well into our midfield. And the final player is another youth player, Fauzan Triono. He comes to us also from Arema, another player who is a free transfer. He can play as a defensive midfielder or a central midfielder, and he's a player that I think will grow as the season goes in. So, £140,000 spent. We are hurtling towards season number 5. Hopefully, these are the players that are going to push us to the next level in season 5. Our league campaign would kick off in brilliant style as we hit the ground running in Liga 1. A dominant display in the first game of the season would see us demolish Persita 7-0. Goals from Eberth, Triono, Silva and Lutfi got us 3 points on the board instantly. We would carry that fine form into the second game of the season 2. We would welcome Bali United to the Patriot Stadium. 2 goals from eBirth would see us dispatch of Bali United, and we would move on to 6 points from a possible 6. After the first 12 games of the season, we would find ourselves top of Liga 1, and we would boast a perfect record. 12 games played, 12 games won, a goal difference of 39, and we have 36 points, already boasting an 11-point lead at the top of the table. Looking at the stats, Ezra Walian has really stepped up this season. He has 15 goals in the first 12 games. eBirth also has 11. Dwi Abbas has an 8.17 average rating, with Kernuan Lutfi getting an 8.12. Dwi Abbas would have 9 assists. Lutfi would have 4 Player of the Match awards, with Walian 3. And once again, Nimli is on form. He has 7 clean sheets from a possible 12. Looking at the rest of the competitions, the Champions League group stage has been drawn. This time around, we will be put in a group with Pathum United, Fukuoka and Jeonbuk. That is a group that I really fancy us to go and win. I think that we can get out of this group with our eyes closed. The way we are playing football this season and the way we played last season in the Champions League, there isn't a single team there that really makes me feel scared of our guaranteed path to get to the second round of the Champions League. I think we are a shoo-in to win this group. Indonesian Cup doesn't start until the 25th of October, so we're going to turn our attention back to the league and the Champions League. Our first game of this season's Champions League would see us travel to Thailand to face Pathum United. We would take the away day adventure in our stride as we look comfortable in a 4-1 victory with goals from Walian, Tinari, Kola and Abbas. Back in the league, we would keep our perfect record intact. The next game up would be against Persipura, and we would walk away with a 2-1 win and 3 more points thanks to Ramdani and Mardi Ansaya. So that means as of the 3rd of February, we are still sat top of Liga 1. We are now through 23 league games and we have a record of 21 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, a goal difference of 82 already. 64 points on the board puts us 14 points clear of Persebaya in second place, and they are 13 points clear of Percy, who are in third. Sadly for us, another shot at an invincible season goes by the wayside. A 3-2 defeat to Persija put pay to that. Looking at some of the stats in the league then, Ezra Walian has 27 league goals this season. The man has taken another step forward despite being another year older. eBirth has 18 goals also. The average ratings are dominated by our players this season. Owen Silva, Lutfi, Abbas and Walian all scoring 7.8 or above, with Silva on an 8.26 average rating so far. Dwi Abbas is an assist machine, 17 assists in the league this season. Walian 5 Player of the Match awards, Mardi Answer getting 4 Player of the Match awards, and Nimli 9 clean sheets this season from 23. Isn't quite as good as last season, but he's still proving why he came in as our number 1 goalkeeper at the age of 20. In the other competitions, we would successfully get through our group as group winners, pushing aside all of the other teams, and we would be rewarded for that with a second round tie against Buriram United. And in a shock defeat, we were knocked out of the Indonesian Cup in the 3rd round by Persis Solo. Now, it is a bit of a shock, but also we rotated the team heavily with our eyes on the middle prize. The Champions League is where we want to be. We want to be lifting that trophy and firmly put us top of the biggest teams in Asia. So let's push forwards into the season and see, can we get to that promised land? It was time to play in the second round of the Champions League, and the first leg would see Buriram United visit us at the Patriot Stadium. Well, I bet they wished that they had stayed at home. We absolutely destroyed them. A 6-0 victory with goals from Luthpi, Silva, eBirth, Croquet and Kola ensure that we are already into the quarter-finals. With that commanding lead, the second leg was a mere formality. No need to defend, we just attacked with everything we had, and the result was a 4-0 victory and a 10-0 aggregate score as we move on to the quarter-finals. In the quarter-finals, we would be paired off with old rivals Shanghai Port. The first leg would be at the Patriot Stadium, and once again, we would build up a commanding lead. This time, a 5-1 victory with goals from Ramdani, Walian, Silva and Luthpi would ensure that we would have one foot in the semi-finals. But before we could be confirmed in the semi-finals, we would have to go to China and navigate a tricky second leg. This tie would go absolutely crazy as both defences decided just not to turn up. We got dragged into an 8-goal 4-4 thriller. Goals from Maciel, Tinari and Silva mean that we go through to the semi-finals of the Champions League with a 9-5 aggregate score. So after 28 league games, we find ourselves still sat top of the pile in Liga 1 as we lead the way in the league stage. 28 games have been played, 26 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. We have a goal difference of 101 and we have 79 points. The next team below us, 66, giving us a 13-point lead, and we have a game in hand at this stage of the season. In some of the stats though, look at this for a race for the Golden Boot in Liga 1. Ezra Walian has got 30 goals, but behind him, Flavio Silva scored 29 for Percy Bayer. These two are really having a great scrap. In terms of the average ratings, it's still Owen Silva that is leading the way. Dwi Abbas has 22 assists on the season, and Nimley 12 clean sheets. In terms of the competitions now, our reward for getting past the quarterfinals of the Champions League is a semi-final tie against Vissel Kobe, and obviously we were knocked out in the Indonesian Cup. So, all eyes turn back to the Champions League. Can we make the final for a second successive season? To get back to the Champions League final, we would have to get past Vissel Kobe. The first leg of the tie would be played away from home in Japan. We would put in a professional display as we walked away from Japan with a 3-1 victory thanks to goals from Silva and Walian. With the damage done in Japan, we just had to keep it tight at home. We did that with a 1-0 win to return to the ACL final. With us turning our attention back to the league for just a moment, we have now completed the league part of the Liga 1 season, and we would finish top of Liga 1 once again. This time around, we would play 34 games, we would win 31 of those games, draw just the once, lose twice, have a goal difference of 119, and finish on 94 points, which means that we would win the league by 15 points from Persebaya, and they would have a gap of 22 points to the team who finished below them, which was Persija. Looking at some of the stats, unfortunately for Ezra Walian, his goals dried up towards the end of the season, and that means that Flavio Silva would win the Golden Boot with 34, but 31 is a valiant effort to go and try and win the Golden Boot. Our two strikers actually would have 55 goals between them in the league. In the average ratings, Owen Silva would come out on top with an 8.13 across the season. Dwi Abbas would get 26 assists. What an assist machine this player is. Nimley would get 16 clean sheets from 34 games this season, and once again cement exactly why he's our number one goalkeeper. So that means that with the league part out of the way, we will have the playoffs, the semi-final and the final to look forward to. But up next is the one that we are all looking forward to. We are going back to the Champions League final. We are going to get a chance at revenge against Al Ittihad. With the Champions League final being a two-legged affair, we would have to head to Saudi in the first leg as we looked for our revenge from the previous season. And revenge was exactly what we got. No longer were we the timid team of 12 months ago. We bossed the first leg, winning the game 4-2 with goals from Luthfi, who got a hat-trick, and Owen Silva. With the scoreline in our favour, we knew we had to complete the job in front of our own fans. This was a task we would do with ease. Once again, we would boss the match as we outfought Al Ittihad all over the pitch. The result was a 3-1 win and a 7-3 aggregate score as we finally win the Champions League to secure our title as the biggest club in Asia. With the Champions League already in the bag, we had one final job to do, and that was win Liga 1 for a fourth time. In the first leg, we would travel to Persebaya as we looked to upset them on the road. And that is exactly what we did. Fresh from the Champions League win, we were on fire with a 5-3 victory and goals from Christofel and Wallian alongside another hat-trick from Lutfi. With all the damage done on the road, it was party time at home as we came out to attack from the get-go. We were dominant in this game as we would run out 3-0 victors to seal the deal over 2 legs, and once again we would become crowned champions of Indonesian football. We have done it, 4 league titles in a row. So with all the on-field action completed, the last thing to do as always is to go through the season review, and where better place to start than on the homepage with our 2 trophies proudly there on display. We have won Liga 1 for the 4th time and for the first time in the club's history, and the first ever Indonesian team to win an Asian Champions League. There are our trophies. We have cemented our place as the current biggest team in Asia. Let's have a look then at how the new arrivals got on across the season. So the first thing you can notice is that Kurniawan Lutfi is our signing of the season. We got him on a free transfer from Arema, and I remember when I unveiled him I said that this player could be special. Our scouts were raving. I don't know why Arema would have let him go, because he has been brilliant, almost phenomenal. 39 games, 31 goals, 19 assists with an 8.18 average rating. Fauzan Triono, he would get 35 appearances, 7 goals and 6 assists. Ivan Ridwan, he would play 39 times with 2 goals and no assists, but 7.0 average rating for our centre-back. Sani Rizki, he would only get 3 games, but as I said, he was more of a mentor figure that we were looking for, an older head in and amongst the younger locker room, and he did a fantastic job in supporting some of our younger players. And finally, Heri Ramdani didn't get too much game time. If you remember, he started off in our youth team, but we did promote him to the full team, and he had 6 starts. He had 10 substitute appearances. Only scored once, but did have an assist as well, and was definitely one for the future. But when we have players such as Wallian and Eberth scoring as many goals as they did this season, there wasn't really going to be much game time, especially when we went out of the Indonesian Cup early. So, in terms of the league, we would go on and win the league once again by 15 points in the league phase. We would then go into the playoffs and, as you've just seen, cement our 4th title in a row. In the Champions League, here is our run to the final. We would actually go and win every single game in the competition. No draws or losses in the group stage, and then no draws or losses in the run-up to the final. A fantastic competition this season we have played. We have been brilliant everywhere we go, home and away. We have been in top form. In terms of the Indonesian Cup, that would be the only blot on our copybook for the season. Persis Solo would beat us over 2 legs on penalties after 2-1 either way in the 2 legs. But as I said earlier on, heavily rotated team, and we weren't too fussed about it considering the longevity of what we were looking for in terms of the Champions League. In the moments to remember section, our biggest win would be a 9-1 victory against Persita, with goals from Maciel, Wallian, Silva and Lutfi. Match to remember would be a 6-0 victory against PSM. Goal of the season would go to club captain Chihiro Kanagaya. Defensive midfielder delights fans and pundits alike with a well-struck effort from distance against Gresik United. In terms of the finances, we are going to jump out of the save after this, so it's important that we have left the club where we are. So previously we were a national team with winning the ACL. Now we are a continental 3-star team, and we're going to leave the club as the biggest team in Asia. No new sponsorship deals, but sponsorship is up, broadcast revenue is up, corporate hospitality is up, competition prize money is up with that Champions League win, and match day commercial and retail is up. Our best-selling shirts are Wallian, Eberth, Lutfi, Silva and Christofel. How did we line up? So with the change in formation, we have now got that reflected on screen here. So Nimli is in goal, Christofel, Ridwan, Tinari and Abbas, Triono and Konagaya, Silva, Lutfi, Maciel and Wallian. That is the exact lineup I would put out if I was forced to put out any lineup. We have been playing so well in the change 4-2-3-1. In terms of the accolades, I didn't get a single award this season despite winning the league for the 4th time, not even a Manager of the Month award. I guess they like to rotate those awards in Indonesia, but still, in terms of the player awards across the season, the Fans Player of the Season was Lutfi, Young Player of the Season was Lutfi, Signing of the Season was Lutfi, Chiro Konagoya got Goal of the Season, Ezra Wallian was top goal scorer with 38, Dwi Abbas got 32 assists in a single season, Owen Silva 13 Player of the Match awards, Lutfi top average rating. And then in terms of the record breakers, we have Wallian, who got 4 goals in a single game again. Dwi Abbas 32 assists. He also, though, had the worst discipline with 14 yellow cards and a red card. Chihiro Konagoya will go down as a club legend. 162 appearances, as well as lifting all of the trophies that we have. Owen Silva now has 75 league goals. He's the top goal scorer. Johnny Antara is our oldest player. Highest transfer fee paid was $138,000 for Ivan Ridwan, and Johnny Antara became the oldest goal scorer once again at 33 years and 182 days. In terms of history in the making, Bekasi CIty surged to a title challenge after really coming through the midway point of the season. Bekasi CIty motored clear of their rivals in the middle, but it wasn't enough to see their challenge turn into title victory. Again, this guy here needs sacking. Whoever... Siarhil Setawian. That's 2 seasons in a row he said that we haven't won the league, but here's my trophy, so yeah, we did. So, to round off the end of season review, Bekasi won right at the death of their ACL Elite tussle with Shanghai Port after a dramatic 92nd minute goal to seal the game 4-4. Bekasi CIty reached the final after a pulsating game against Kobe and was decided by an extremely late but timely 95th goal, ensuring it finished 1-0. We'd already won the first leg there, so not too sure what's going on with this end of season review. In terms of winning the ACL Elite, we beat all comers to become champions. Lutfi was magical, made 6 assists. We had a record points haul once again in Liga 1 with 94, and we were best of the best. Lutfi made an instant impact in winning Indonesian League 1 Young Player of the Year in the same season that he joined the club. So, a fantastic way to round it out. If we were to go into another season, the board now have £5.6 million in the bank. £648,000 would be the transfer budget. Quickly, if we go into the club info and show you what's happening. So, 3-star Continental, 4-star finances, 3-star training facilities and youth facilities now. And we are starting to build that up. Chihiro Konagoya will go out as club captain and legend. He is a player that, despite not looking like everything, he was a player that I really could depend upon in the middle of the park. 162 appearances, 18 goals, and one of those players that we bought way back in the save. In fact, he came in the first season on a free transfer in Liga 2 and stuck with us the whole way. In terms of our key player, that would be Owen Silva, 22 years old now, and he really developed himself into one of the best players in the league. 121 appearances, 75 goals. Came to us in the 25-26 season on a free transfer from FC Dallas and did everything we asked of him. He really has developed himself into a fantastic player. So, that is pretty much going to be that. We can see 1 AFC Champions League Elite, 4 Liga 1 titles, 1 Liga 2 title and 2 Indonesian Cups. Considering that this team was so fresh and new, had nothing in the trophy cabinet, we have now gone and filled that up for them, and they can proudly say that they are the best club in Asia. Indonesia is such a fun league to manage in. It's a little bit crazy. There's so many games at the end of the season with all of the playoffs. The 2-legged things is crazy. The fixtures really do pile up, and once you've won the league, you think you've won the league, and then you have to win the playoffs and everything. It really does get crazy, but it's such an enjoyable experience. And on that note, I really want to thank every single person that watches this series, and more importantly, if you are from Indonesia and you have followed this series, let me know in the comment section down below. Are Bekasi CIty a team that could potentially do this in real life? Now, I know they have good owners at the moment. They have rich owners, and they are a team that are looking to push up. I have checked on them in real life, and they are having a really good season in the current season. But do you think they are a team that could reach the heights, certainly of winning Liga 1, but could they make an impact in terms of the Champions League? Also, let me know if you've enjoyed the series. I really enjoy having you here watching the videos, and I cannot say thank you enough. That is why this series existed, because I noticed in the analytics of YouTube, I have a high percentage of Indonesian viewers, and I really wanted to give something back to you because you have overtaken the English people on my channel in terms of my most popular audience. So I really want to say thank you for that. But for this one, I'm going to leave it there. It's been fantastic managing FC Bekasi CIty, but I'm going to sign off with a Champions League win, a Liga 1 win, and I'm going to say thank you very much. I hope to see you on another video very soon.